On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Chuck Grassley seems to be under a bit of pressure right now. I will say, this blue slip thing, I don't know. I don't know what direction it's supposed to go. I don't know if this is supposed to be some sort of thing to confuse, right? Distract while Trump does other stuff. A whole lot of executive orders happened today. But this thing with Grassley is very interesting. We've got Senator Kennedy coming out saying he hopes this blue slip thing never goes away. It's been used by Republicans and Democrats, both for good and for evil, I guess, if you want to look at it from that standpoint. But this does keep Trump from being able to put people in states that are overwhelmingly blue. Now, I don't know how he's going to move forward through this. This is a very interesting time. This is fascinating, and this is a gentleman's rule. It's not an actual law, Grassley, what he's following. It's something they've done for like 100 years. So, again, how this plays out is going to be very, very interesting. And Trump never does anything by accident. He doesn't really waste energy. So we're probably going to see something play out. And maybe it's going to be pressure on Grassley. Maybe it's going to be, it's going to be done through these states not getting deals. Maybe Trump can actually work something behind the scenes with some of these Democratic lawmakers, these Democrat senators. They're like, look, here's the thing. If you want certain projects to happen in your state, you're going to have to let me get my people in. If you don't let my people in, you ain't getting the money. You ain't getting the project. It ain't happening. So we'll see. I mean, it's going to be friggin' fascinating. Let's get started here in the fun part. We do have a couple interesting things to bring up. First off, there is a big movie that is out that the Badlands folks are behind, and good job on them, by the way. It's excellent, and they're just doing an amazing job in the big picture. But it's called Codex 9/11. For a lot of you guys, I guess this is one of the best 9/11 movies that have been done. I've seen a number of 9/11 movies that were excellent back in the day, especially. There's a number of great ones out there, I think. This is probably fantastic. I'm sure they've done a lot of digging into it. And I do feel like this is one of the disservices I do to my audience, unfortunately. Being awake as long as I have, there's just a lot of things that I'm not excited about, like many people that are just starting to wake up. And so 9/11's definitely one of those. JFK is probably one of those. So again, I'm kind of more in the, what are they doing to us now? How are they lying to us now? How can we forward ourselves from that standpoint? Not so much what happened 25 years ago, though it's something I looked into way back then. In fact, when it was happening, I was aware that it wasn't what they were telling us, that we actually literally saw buildings implode. I had watched so many implosions. That was one of my favorite things to watch on TV whenever they imploded a building. It's fantastic. It was always fun to watch. So watching 9/11 happen, I was no doubt in my mind that it was an implosion. It was like, what? That's crazy. And then Building 7 came down the same way, free fall. They found thermite dust all over the place. Again, it was just all this information was coming out. And it was pretty powerful, to say the least. Now, granted, most people back then didn't think 9/11 was an inside job, and anybody that hinted at anything in those general realms was ridiculed, mocked, hated, scorned, like a lot of pretty nasty shit. It was not cool. Anyway, it's on their Badlands Media channel. This thing's already got, I think it had, it's probably even higher now. Let me see if I'm refresh it. Yeah, 354,000 views. So any kind of good job. Good job on that, you guys. So again, if you want to check it out, you should check out Badlands Media and get that ball rolling. Trump says he's going to change the name of the Department of Defense back to what it used to be called.
Pete Hegseth has been incredible with the, as I call it, the Department of War. We call it the Department of Defense, but between us, I think we're going to change the name. You want to know the truth? I think we're going to have some information on that maybe soon, but I think because, Department of Defense, we won the World War I, World War II. It was called the Department of War. And to me, that's really what it is. Its defense is a part of that. But I have a feeling we're going to be changing. I'm talking to the people. Everybody likes that. We had an unbelievable history of victory when it was Department of War. Then we changed it to Department of Defense. So that's a little thing, has nothing to do with your country, but it's something that I think you're going to be hearing about or seeing about over the next couple of weeks. Probably that change is going to be made over the next week or so.
Now, it is interesting too that Trump had has, I don't know if he's still there or not, but the leader of South Korea Some interesting stuff came from that. We're going to get there in a second too, but that was from that press conference that he was just doing, or still is, I think, currently in right now. California fire sale. Now they're talking about a China-based company possibly buying up the land of the incinerated firestorms. They're literally buying some of the most expensive real estate in Southern California, and they're buying the good stuff. They're not buying the crap. They're buying the stuff right on the waterfront. They're getting the nicest lots, and a lot of them, I think they're getting them close together, too, so they might even be able to combine lots. They've paid quite a bit of money, but this is ultimately the people that cannot afford to wait any longer. We're still, like almost a year more since the fires? These people still, hardly any permits have even been approved, let alone building having started. This is a mess, and of course, this is California, just a great example of mismanagement in California. This is so messed up. So $65 million they've supposedly spent so far. And Weston Littlefield, I think, is the company. So we'll see. This is just kind of disappointing. So, again, a lot of the places where the Democrats, I think, are going to have to pay a big price, especially California. Also, speaking of California, lawmakers are pivoting on the whole fossil fuel thing. California is losing fuel, what do they call it, when the processing of oil, right, refineries, when they refine it down to gasoline. And we have this crazy blend that we have in California that nobody else uses. And we're not able to make that blend really anymore because all of the refineries have left. Last one, two, I think a couple of the last of them anyways. I don't know how many are left altogether. There's not many. But one of them, Northern California refinery, Valero, it's going to be closing in 2026. And then we've got this other one that's closing at the end of this year. And so, again, California is not able to refine its own gas anymore, which means it can't get its special blend anymore. And the reason these refineries are leaving is because California is such a horrible place for business. It's a horrible state for business. And so many companies that are huge have left California. This is just another perfect example of how the Democratic Party literally destroys everything they touch. Everything they touch, they destroy. Every single deep blue city in this, almost every single deep blue city in this country has way higher crime rates than a lot of the deep reds. Now, there is some deep reds. There's one in particular, at least on the top 20, that happens to be a Republican city. But for the most part, 19 of them are Democrats. And again, we got rhinos all over the place. So just because it's Republican doesn't necessarily mean they don't have problems. School districts are ditching their hard-to-repair electric buses for diesel buses. One thing that kind of might make some sense in the bigger picture, this company is a Canadian company that was making these battery-operated school buses, or buses in general. Well, they've fallen into bankruptcy, and the parts are too hard to get, so they're literally just ditching these stupid buses and going back to diesel school buses. Again, California is crushing under their own stupid rules. Trump responds to leftist mayor-governor after nasty comments. Governor Wes Moore said if President Trump were to walk our streets, stand with our people, and visit our community, he would see what I see, one of the greatest cities in the United States. And yeah, Donald Trump didn't agree with that. He truthed out. Governor Wes Moore of Maryland has asked in a rather nasty and provocative tone that I walk the streets of Maryland with him. I assume he is talking about the out-of-control, crime-ridden Baltimore. As president, I would much prefer that he clean up that crime disaster before I go there for a walk. Wes Moore's record on crime is a very bad one, unless he fudges his figures on crime like many of the other blue states are doing. But if Wes Moore needs help, then, like Gavin Newsom did in L.A., I will send in the troops, which is being done in nearby D.C., and quickly clean up the crime. After only 1 week, there is no crime and no murders in D.C. When it is like that in Baltimore, I will proudly walk the streets with the failing, because of crime, governor of Maryland. P.S. Baltimore is ranked the 4th worst city in the nation in crime and murder. Stop talking and get to work, Wes. I'll then see you on the streets. Also, I gave Wes Moore a lot of money to fix his demolished bridge. I will now have to rethink that decision. Or I will now have to rethink that decision? 3 question marks. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. Word. Bum, bum, bum. And let's see. I guess I added another one. Did Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland, lie about getting a Bronze Star? Oh, that's stolen valor. Valor's not cool at all. Interesting. He's calling something out because he probably knows the answer. So, yeah, calling him out big time. More and more. Trump Live. President signs executive order ending cashless bail. Let's play this. What the hell?
So I'll start signing the executive orders. To me, this is a very, very big deal. One of the executive orders has to do with cashless bail. That was when the big crime in this country started. And I can tell you who did it, when, but I don't want to do that because others followed pretty quickly. But that was when it happened. Somebody kills somebody, they go in, don't worry about it, no cash, come back in a couple of months, we'll give you a trial. You never see the person again. And, I mean, they kill people and they get out. Cashless bail. They thought it was discriminatory to make people put up money because they just killed 3 people lying on a street. Any street all over the country, cashless bail. We're ending it, but we're starting by ending it in D.C., and that we have the right to do through federalization. Okay, let's go. Could I ask you to say exactly what this is?
Of course. So, as you've consistently identified, sir, cashless bail policies are a key driver of the disorder we see on city streets all over America. Catch and release system allows criminals to keep going back out onto the street and reoffending. What this executive order does, it charges your attorney general with identifying jurisdictions all over the country that have cashless bail policies, and then it withholds or revokes federal funds and grants that are flowing to those jurisdictions to ensure that we're only supporting the people who have reasonable common sense policies around crime.
So what area does it cover?
Potentially anywhere that has a cashless bail policy. So some of the largest cities, some of the most left-wing states in America
Almost
have adopted.
all of them, right?
Illinois would be a great example of that, sir.
Oh, they have a great cashless bail. You don't even have to go to court sometimes. No, Illinois, I love that state. It's a great state, but it's run so badly by Pritzker. They threw him out of the family business and he becomes governor. Now he wants to run for president. I don't think that's going to happen. Okay, we'll sign right here, right?
Sir.
So important. And this isn't Republican, Democrat. This is, and by the way, most Democrats agree with this. But this is just, we got to bring our country back. Okay? That's a big one.
Also on the issue of cashless bail, sir, this is a D.C.-specific executive order. In addition to the measures that we're taking that are quite similar to what we're doing around the country, in D.C. in particular, the objective is holding as many criminal defendants in federal custody and subjecting them to federal charges as possible. That means that they'll be held pre-trial in federal jail as opposed to just being cut back out on the streets due to a cashless bail policy.
Okay? And we have the room. And by the way, the prison they have in D.C. is horrible. It's horrible. People were subjected to live in that dog trap for so long, so unfairly. I have stories, you'll be hearing about them. That prison is horrible.
I don't know if I've ever heard of dog trap. That's a neat term. We've also got Riley Gaines mocking Zohran Mamdani. I don't know if you guys saw the video of him at the gym
And the
where he was.
Pear Tree Cottage Garden.
That's awesome. You shouldn't just start on your own. That's for sure. There we go. Riley Gaines made fun of him. In fact, what's beautiful is Zohran Mamdani, a skinny little, scrawny little dude, and he was trying to put up a decent amount, 115 pounds. It's not a bad bench press. I think it's a 135. I'm sorry, 135. So that's pretty good. 135 pounds. What's funny is he needed help to do it. He couldn't do it himself, which that's fine. That's pretty good. But what's interesting is Riley Gaines, an actual girl, not transgender or anything strange like that, actually did the weight. And in fact, it looks like she even added on a few pounds. And she did 1 rep 3 times, like 3 single reps without help. Check it out.
Yeah! Yeah! Real pain, take the blazer off. Let's go. Real pain. Real pain.
Yeah, we got the mayor out.
We got the future mayor out
No,
here.
you cannot be the mayor.
Real pain. Let's go. Let's go.
Silent trip. We're gonna do it on 3. Come on.
Let's go.
Some more. Slide him some more.
Slide him up. Slide him up. Come on, slide him up. Yeah.
Easy money. Easy money. We're gonna lift on 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Let's go. Yeah. Let's go. Pain. Up. Pain. Let's go. Pain, baby. Yeah. Yeah. Let's go. That's real pain.
That was a combined.
Yeah.
Let's go. I gotta give credit.
That's all right. That's pain, baby. That's pain, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Real pain.
Pretty impressive, that's for sure. So good job on her. And by the way, it was just funny watching Mamdani do it when he sat down on the bench. Like anybody that actually does free weight bench, again, it's been a while. I use the machines just because it's easier. I don't have to have someone spot me if I want to do any sort of significant weight. But you usually use your thumbs from the little lines, or you'll put your hands right where the lines are. He didn't really seem to do anything like that. Like, there's just certain behaviors that you do when you do free weights. There's, even when you're doing dumbbells, there's certain habits you do with them. But whatever the case is, the dude's weak. Trump vows lawsuit against California's redistricting and blue slips. We're going to do the blue slip video next. The very beginning of this, he's talking about what Gavin's doing, so I'll probably pause it and then play the other clip for the blue slip stuff.
I think I'm going to be filing a lawsuit pretty soon, and I think we're going to be very successful in it. We're going to be filing it through the Department of Justice. That's going to happen. And we're also going to be filing a lawsuit on blue slipping.
So he was talking about California. Again, I think I've got a better thing here from him talking about the blue slip. So this is, he talks even about Chuck Grassley and all that and the blue slips. And so I felt like this was just a better piece or better clip of him talking about the blue slip problem.
That's going to happen. And we're also going to be filing a lawsuit on blue slipping. Blue slips make it impossible for me as president to appoint a judge or a U.S. attorney because they have a gentleman's agreement. It's nothing memorialized. It's a gentleman's agreement that's about 100 years old, where if you have a president like a Republican and if you have a Democrat senator, that senator can stop you from appointing a judge or a U.S. attorney. In particular, those are the two, I guess anything, but those are the two that are very important. So we have numerous states where we have unbelievable people. Now, Jay Clayton was just approved in the Southern District, but he was so good. He was a top student, top schools, top everything, went to Sullivan and Cromwell, became the head of Sullivan and Cromwell, came down here, was Securities and Exchange Commission, ran it for 4 years during my term, like impeccably, beautiful job. He did an incredible job. And we went to court, and the judges, Democrat judges, voted that he can. That's the only way you get by it. But generally speaking, you can't do that because you'll have judges from the other party. So Jay Clayton just got approved, and he's in, but he didn't get approved by the senators. He got approved by the court system in New York, which was a great thing. And I had a big victory in New York, I might add. I saved myself $500 million with a fake, corrupt attorney general, a really corrupt person with a corrupt judge who was disgraceful, and they're being mauled right now by everybody. It's so corrupt, and it kept business out of New York, stuff like that. But the appellate division vacated all of that stuff that you read about, and we're going to do a big number on that whole thing. You can't have a corrupt court system. You can't have that. You have to have borders, and you have to have a free press. Otherwise, you don't have a country. But you'll be hearing about the blue slipping. Because if you have not, you don't need two senators. You just need one Democrat senator with a Republican. The only person that I can get approved are Democrats or maybe weak Republicans, but we don't want that. But the only person I will be able to get approved in any of those states where you have a Democrat will be, I can't get a U.S. attorney. I can only get a Democrat U.S. attorney. And this is based on an old custom. It's not based on law, and I think it's unconstitutional. And I'll probably be filing a suit on that pretty soon. Yep.
One of the things that jumps out to me, and I don't know about you guys, and maybe I'm way off base here, and I'm not even sure if they would be able to do it, but there seems like there's a lot of things that are building up to this potential plus reason or positive reason for a government shutdown. Remember, they're supposed to be able to pass that bill, I want to say, so I think it's by the end of September. I think October 1st, if they don't have the funding in place, then the government will shut down. Now, again, who gets blamed for that is generally hurt in the polls. So we're going to see. And I think Trump is doing some of the stuff he's doing in order to piss off the Dems so they shut down the government. If they shut down the government, I think his appointees and stuff can be jammed through. And if that's the case, he could fill probably every judge. He could probably fill every DA or whatever, the attorney generals, whatever they are, the ones like Lena Habba is, right? They could fill the Senate or the actual vacancies that he's got, the 150 people. They could do that, maybe that recess thing they talked about before. So, again, what's going on right now is a trip. It's a game. It's chess. It's brinksmanship. He's got power of the purse to a large extent. I mean, that's Congress technically, but he seems to be able to direct where stuff goes and doesn't go. And he's certainly been successful doing that thus far. Donald Trump truthed this out. I have a constitutional right to appoint judges and U.S. attorneys, but that right has been completely taken away from me in states that have just one Democrat United States Senator. This is because of an old and outdated custom known as the blue slip that Senator Chuck Grassley of the great state of Iowa refuses to overturn, even though the Democrats, including crooked Joe Biden twice, have done so on numerous occasions. Therefore, the only candidates that I can get confirmed for me our most important positions are, believe it or not, Democrats. Chuck Grassley would allow strong Republican candidates to ascend to these very vital and powerful roles, or should allow people to come to these roles, and tell the Democrats, as they often tell us, go to hell. Now, this is another thing that's interesting. If Grassley really did have the fortitude, if you will, choose which kind you prefer, intestinal or testicular, if he had the fortitude and he just said, we're not going to do the blue slips anymore, we're going to push this through sheerly on the numbers, then he could. Now, here's the thing. Maybe he's worried about elections and the few senators that are going to probably be kicked out anyways because they suck. But that's many, many months down the road. And what, Trump's supposed to go half his term without having his appointees or being able to appoint anybody? And I know many are like, well, it's because you've got to kiss Congress's ass. No, he doesn't. There's a lot of other ways to fight Congress in these regards. So again, we've got a major battle that's brewing in front of us, and it's pretty freaking fantastic, that's for sure. I guess Chuck Grassley was a little miffed by Trump doing what he did.
Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley says he was offended by President Donald Trump's social media post calling on him to end a longtime Senate practice that allows home state senators to approve or block some judicial nominees. In a Truth Social post Tuesday, Trump called on Grassley to have the, quote, courage to stop using the forms known as blue slips that are submitted to the home state senators regardless of party. Senators on Capitol Hill came to the defense of the blue slip process.
President Trump makes a lot of comments about how the Senate should be run. I think he has his hands full with problems here and abroad.
Both Democratic presidents and Republican presidents have asked us to get rid of it. We never have, and I hope we never will.
Meanwhile, Senate Majority Leader John Thune also defended blue, noting Republicans used them during former President Joe Biden's tenure.
So nobody wants to get rid of it, right? Nobody's got the courage. Now, again, I think the Senate's where majority of our problems are, really, because the House overturns every 2 years, and they've got to be able to stand in front of the people. The 6 years the Senate gets, obviously, it gives them a lot of time to garner buy-in from other people, because it's ultimately what it comes down to. You do favors, you get reelected. If we take control of elections the way we're going to, a lot of senators are going to be at risk anyways. So again, many angles are kind of coming together at one time in a weird way, and what exactly people choose, I don't know. I mean, again, there's a lot of people that I think this is all planned out. I don't think that's the case. I think decisions are being made, and again, there's an overwhelming amount of energy that's just it's a tsunami to the deep state. There's nothing they can do. They're going to lose, but they certainly seem to be fighting. Federal Bureau of Investigation, Kash Patel, Came out and said all federal partners are now at over 1,000 arrests under POTUS's initiative to clean up Washington, D.C. Latest from FBI, August 24th, 25th, 26 arrests involving FBI personnel, 6 gun recoveries, 5 drug seizures, 86 individuals arrested by federal partners total. Keep getting after it. Over 1,000 people in what, just a week? How long has it been since it started? I think it's been 7-8 days, something like that. It is official, folks. They are carrying firearms now. Sidearms, I guess, would be the better, appropriate way to state this. Doesn't seem they're carrying the long guns yet, but they certainly have their pistols.
At least the weather been nice out here. I can say that for sure. Humidity is real nice. Yeah, weather amazing.
Do you want a picture? I can take a picture for you. No, you want a picture?
I assume those are Glocks. I don't know, but based off of all the stuff I've found out about my lovely firearm, that's no longer safe to own, apparently. Or at least keep loaded where it can fall. Yeah, they've got to be using Glocks, but I don't recognize the... I mean, I've shot them before, but I don't know them well enough. I'm not that good. Rep. Biggs is going to introduce the D.C. reform bill to extend Trump control of police. He's going to try to eliminate cash bail. Trump's done it with executive order, but at least they're trying to do a bill. Andy Biggs, Republican from Arizona, trying to work it through the legislation. 2 pieces, I guess. One's going to amend the D.C. Home Rule Act to give the president a longer period of time to control the local police. I think it's only 30 days now. I think he wants to give them more than that. I'd be curious to see if they have a chance. I don't think they can get that through the Senate as is, but this might work down the road. Again, we'll see how it all plays out. Senate, I don't think this would be a continuing resolution type situation or a budget type thing. Maybe it does. I don't think so. So I think the Senate would have to get the 60 votes. It'd be tricky to see. Trump eases off the threat to deploy feds in other cities. We'll play a little bit of this. I think it's pretty good. Should be anyways. Check this out.
Well, thank you very much. It's a very important day for many reasons. We've had a lot of important days lately. But this is a meeting and a group of people that are doing an unbelievable job in a thing called crime, and in particular, violent crime. We want to go from here to other places, but I was telling some of the people that in a certain way, you really want to be asked to go. You know, I hate to barge in on a city and then be treated horribly by corrupt politicians and bad politicians like a guy like Pritzker. He ought to spend more time in the gym, actually. This guy is a disaster. Gavin Newsom's a disaster. But I don't like going to a town, city, place, a state, and then be criticized by some corrupt or incompetent governor where crime is rampant. Like, take a look at D.C. Crime was rampant. It was at the all-time worst. It got really bad during the Biden 4 years. And then I have a mayor stand up and say how crime has reached a 30-year low. 30-year low. People are being killed left and right. And it's not a 30-year low. Think of it. So for 11 days, there have been no murders. The record goes back years where that's happened. They haven't seen that happen in years. And then people stand up, and instead of thanking us, which they should do, and she's not that bad. She's better than most. But, you know, you have people I watched in Illinois. Chicago, Illinois is a disaster. I have property there. It's a disaster what's going on in Chicago. And you get Pritzker, he's violating our rights. I think the Democrats better get smart. And, you know, politically, I hope they don't. But actually, in terms of love for the country, I hope they do, because it would be good to work together.
Politically, I hope they don't. I mean, it's funny. He's saying the truth, right? Because they're doing suicide right now. Democrats are absolutely shooting themselves in the foot. Trump truthed this out. I just watched sloppy Christie be interviewed on a ratings-challenged news show this week with George Slopadopoulos on ABC Fake News. By the way, what the hell happened to Jonathan Karl's hair? He looks absolutely terrible. It's amazing what bad ratings on a failed television show that was forced to pay me $16 million can do to one's appearance. Can anyone believe anything that sloppy Chris says? Do you remember the way he lied about the dangerous and deadly closure of the George Washington Bridge in order to stay out of prison, at the same time sacrificing people who worked for him, including a young mother who spent years trying to fight off the vicious charges against her. Chris refused to take responsibility for these criminal acts. For the sake of justice, perhaps we should start looking at that very serious situation again. No one is above the law. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I love how he uses truth in that manner. TWC, the wellness company, twc.health/OTF. I am really enjoying the progression I am experiencing. So I talk frequently about the ivermectin mebendazole. Those of you that are new to my account, I'm sorry. Those of you that watch me all the time, yeah, I love this stuff. I am tripping on it. I don't know, probably 2/3-ish almost into it, maybe not quite that far. Noticing huge difference. One, that thing is almost completely gone. It's just down to the one little, like the darkest little part of it. So I think that's working its way, but the rest of it's completely gone, which was cool. And it was about dime size, so it's really tiny right now. What I'm also noticing is I get these weird like red skin freckles. I don't think I've got any real easily to show. I've got one on my arm here. I don't know if you can see that little red spot, right? I get these little weird spots. Those are actually turning dark, like they're dying. So I've got, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 of them. I don't know. I mean, it's not attractive. I'll say that, but it is what it is, right? Those are actually turning dark. They used to just be very blood red. And I think these are tied into a lot of the same stuff, parasites, right? So this anti-parasite cleanse has been doing a lot of amazing stuff, in my opinion. And I know it's done stuff for me internally as well. There's just a lot of things like gas was a big one, bloating. Like you'll notice a lot of weird things kind of just like start to stop. It's very awesome. So I highly recommend the ivermectin mebendazole, aka the dual action parasite cleanse that you can trust, and you certainly can. Now, for those that this is sticker shock, think about it. It's 90 pills, 90-day supply, 3-month supply. And you're getting 25 milligrams of ivermectin, 250 milligrams of mebendazole. A doctor is prescribing it. It's 100% legal. 100% legal. And it's got your name on the bottle, by the way. So if you take it traveling, they can't bitch at you for it. It's legit. It's a prescription. And if you paid for those, even buying them from India or China, you would pay probably more than $600. This is actually an amazing deal. Now, you get a small break using twc.health/OTF. You use that coupon code OTF, and you're going to even save yourself additional money on top of that. Again, it's doctor prescribed. You can't go wrong with this. They've got appetite control. They got stuff but kind of by gold. Anti-aging, appetite, cleanse, detox, hormone and sexual health, heart health, immune support, spike collection. By the way, if you rolled your sleeve up or maybe live with someone who did, the ultimate spike detox is designed specifically for that spike protein, that little cleavage-sided thing. It's designed specifically to go for him. That's the only thing it's attracted to. The way they built this molecule that attacks it is looking specifically for this, and nothing else will fit the bill. And once it finds one, it grabs it and it pulls it out of your system. That's it. It's detoxed. It's incredible. It's like $50 too. Not very expensive. Maybe even less than that. I don't even know what it was. Just click on it. What the hell? Let's give a specific. Okay, it's $80. Holy crap! But still, and amazing. You're going to get some savings on that as well. You can subscribe and save some more if you'd like to stay on it for a while. I've actually had someone say this. She believes saved her life, and it will. It is impressive how well it works. So again, they've got it by product. They've also got the recharge. It's another one of the really popular ones right now, at least in our circles. This has the methylene blue. Right, so it enhances cognition, energy, cellular resilience. It also has this NAD+, which restores mitochondrial function and mental clarity. So you got a lot of things working together. And PQQ, which is used for cellular renewal, boosts energy and enhances memory. So it's all really good stuff. I wonder if that's the same stuff. I feel like that's the same stuff in Mike Lindell's drink. Maybe it's, I got to look at that again one of these days, whatever that stupid chemical is. But again, just incredible products, guys. I highly recommend it. They've also got these really fantastic emergency kits, contagion kits, a bunch of antivirals, hydroxychloroquine, HCQ. You got a Z-Pack in there for antibiotic, and there's a generic Tamiflu. So you got 3 antivirals. It's a very powerful kit to have. No matter what kind of weird stuff floats around, it takes care of parasites, it takes care of virals, anything like that. And some say that maybe that one and the same, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Also, they're finding a lot of studies that are showing interesting links between parasites and potential cancers too. There's a lot. So look into it if you'd like. One of the best products you'll ever use. Go to twc.health/OTF. twc.health/OTF. I'm telling you, take your health into your own hands. You trust in people with your health, you're probably not going to benefit from it. They might, but you won't. Kilmar Abrego. They finally let him out of jail, and we talked about this, and they're like, we heard that ICE was going to immediately arrest him. Well, guess what they have? And they're now deporting him to Uganda. They had a big problem where he couldn't go back to his country because that'd be dangerous for him. So, all right, we're going to send you to frickin' Africa. Bye. Don't call us. We'll call you. So, yeah, Kilmar, which is just, if you think about the name, Kilmar. That's Kilmar Abrego. He's out. And White House posted this just because they wanted to take it one step further. Still not a Maryland dad. Once again, referencing the MS-13 Kilmar Abrego, and Ugandan descent, apparently. Well, now. Okay, so it's not really funny, but it kind of is. Florida Attorney General announces a probe of sanctuary jurisdictions that give trucking licenses to illegal immigrants. This will be a fun lawsuit. Coming after states like California, please come after us, please, pretty please. We need it. We need the embarrassment. So I love it. I love the fact, hopefully Paxton's doing similar stuff, even though I think he's really embroiled in a re-election campaign, or an election campaign, I should say, because he's going to the Senate, and then you've got people fighting and vying for his position, Chip Roy being one of them, and I don't know if we should reward Chip. I feel like Chip should be chipped in the woodshed. Well, that's mean. I don't mean that because that sounds violent. I don't mean it like that. I just think he should, become mulch was where I was going with it. But it's just time for him to kind of go off into the background and, just not be in politics anymore, Chip. I think you've had a lot of opportunities to be much more helpful. And maybe I'm wrong on this, Texas. I'm going to leave it up to you guys. My good friend, S. Jones, and she's, I let her fight that fight, man. There's too much crap going on in Texas. I don't want to try to stay on top of all of it. I have a hard enough time with California and, trying to not piss you guys off too much. But it is one of the biggest states. It's fourth largest economy in the world. I mean, we're significant. Donald Trump truth this out despite a very high popularity and, according to many, among the greatest 8 months in presidential history. ABC and NBC fake news, two of the worst of the most biased networks in history, give me 97% bad stories. If that is the case, they are simply an arm of the Democrat Party and should, according to many, have their license revoked by the FCC. I would be totally in favor of that because they are so biased and untruthful and actually threat to our democracy. The war is on, guys. The war is on. The heat is on. Such a good song. We are shutting them down. And we're going to fight every step of the way, but we are winning. We've got victories, many in our back pocket, and we continue to get them. They do all their stuff every single day. We see it, right? But you guys are seeing the appellate courts coming back and putting stays on the district judges, and so we're getting there. Trump knows what he's doing. This is the one thing that I am, for the first time in my life, I have absolute faith in the president that we are heading in the direction that is better for humanity, better for this country, better for mankind, better for me, better for you, most likely, even if you don't realize it, which you probably do. Virginia GOP grows cautiously optimistic in governor's race. We got to keep pushing attention out there. The lady that needs to win it, Sears. She's the one. Earl Sears. Winston Earl Sears, Lieutenant Governor. She's running for it, so let's get her in. If you guys have any say whatsoever in Virginia, let's make sure that happens. We want to see some stuff change big time. And she seems like a really nice lady. I just don't think she's loud enough, but that's, again, not all of our personalities are built that way. Like, I don't care what other people think. I don't debate. I don't like debating. I don't care to debate. I don't care. If you disagree with me, awesome. Have a great day. See ya. I'm not going to waste a second of my life trying to change your mind. I'm not. Never will. I'm not gonna. I hate it. It's a waste of my time. It's stupid. In my opinion. It's me. It's how I'm wired. I got better things to do. I'm worried about trying to figure out how to live my life the best I can. Anybody that figures it out along the way with me, cool. If I offer advice and help to people and they ignore it, I'm like, nah, I'm not going to go chasing after you. I don't give a crap. It's up to you, man. Like, we're all walking our own paths, right? To each his own. Who's to say I'm right, first off? I mean, I think I do a dang good job with my own life, and I think I've helped many, but, who's to say? Donald Trump, he was talking about, what is this? What does this one have to do with? South Korea. Yeah, he was talking with the president in South Korea. So this was his intro of him. And then I'm going to follow up with like 2 crazy things he sort of says. So I don't know. I wish I would have watched the whole thing. I saw a few live things today. Trump's been a busy man today, by the way, with live. And it's just hard to do show prep when you're trying to watch something, especially if I'm trying to record it, which I wasn't doing today. But all said, whatever. Here is Trump talking to the South Korean, I think, president while he's here.
It's an honor to be with President Lee of South Korea. We've known each other and gotten along very well. We have some additional trade because I hear they want to renegotiate the deal, but that's okay. I don't mind that. That doesn't mean they're going to get anything, but I don't mind. But we're going to have some very serious discussions about different things, including trade, where we do a lot of trade with South Korea, as you know. We are thinking about contracting some ships. They build them very well in South Korea. They're also thinking about coming to our country with some shipyards to start us on the process of building ships again. You know, at World War II, we'd build a ship a day. And today we don't build ships anymore, which is ridiculous. We're going to start that again. But we were like you. We were building ships all the time for everybody. And presidents and people allowed that to slip by. And now we buy ships, but we're going to be buying ships from South Korea, but we're also going to have them make ships here with our people, using our people. And we're going to go back into the shipbuilding business again, because really, essentially, we don't build ships anymore, which is ridiculous how that ever happened. But we were the best at it, and you can take a look at World War II in particular, where we were doing virtually a ship a day. And it's hard to believe these were tankers and different kinds of ships, but we were very active. And you see a lot of those shipyards sitting there idle, but they're not so idle anymore. And you're going to come in also, and you're going to be doing a lot of ships in this country. So I look forward to that. But we have a lot of other trade things. They're a big purchaser of our military equipment. We make the best military equipment in the world. And you saw that recently with take a look at what we did with the B-2 bomber, which you have one right there. They gave that to me. I guess the company gave that to me. The B-2 bomber was so successful in what took place in the little excursion that we made, 36 hours, and it wiped out nobody's ever seen anything like it. 36 hours back and forth. Not a thing went wrong. Not a screw was missing. Not a bolt was missing. Not a plane had not even a little bit of a problem. And we actually had 52 tankers. We had many planes, but you looked at the B-2, the way they handled that. Every single bomb hit its target. So they understand that. We make the best military equipment in the world, and South Korea is a big buyer of military equipment. And we're going to talk about that also. And we have many things to talk about, and I look forward to it. And it's a great honor to be with you, and congratulations on your election. That was a big one. And we're with you 100%. Thank you.
Yeah. So big deal there, right? Saying the nice words and all the proper words. It's kind of funny. You think about, we sell a lot of our military equipment, the F-35 being like the coolest, best technology we sell. That's really not that good. We don't sell the F-22. We don't sell the stealth bomber. And the reason we don't is because these craft are so extraordinarily top secret. Just the abilities they have are beyond just they've got some fancy paint on them and they're made in a weird angle. There's a whole lot of other crap going on. There's many stories that suggest, and I think it actually happened when we were flying the planes over there, that we sent them off in a different direction. Many of them probably would have showed up in satellite. At least top down, they're far less stealthy. Or are they? See, these planes were designed with that in mind. So they all took off going in a direction, and then 6 of them, Mark, what was it, 6? I think it was 6 of them, whatever. I forget how many bombs I dropped. It was 2 each. Forget, but yeah, whatever. 6, 7 of them disappeared and changed directions. And those same satellites never saw them. Now, maybe it was just we knew exactly when the satellites would pass overhead, and we had this small window where we could turn them around, and maybe they'd be hard to find. Maybe they're hard to see anyway. Or maybe they have additional technology that we can't sell you that plane, man. That stuff's got stuff baked into it. We couldn't remove it. So Trump's now saying South Korea is raiding churches and stuff. There's some weird stuff that's going on in South Korea right now. He's calling them out on it. Again, I don't know, he was super nice, super flowing just a moment ago. I didn't see the entire presser. I'm bummed, but there's snippets I got.
Could you please elaborate on your post on South Korea? What were you referring to?
Well, I heard that there were raids on churches over the last few days, very vicious raids on churches by the new government in South Korea, that they even went into our military base and got information. They probably shouldn't have done that, but I heard bad things. I don't know if it's true or not. I'll be finding out. As you know, your new president's coming in just a couple of hours, coming here. I look forward to meeting him. But we won't stand for that. We just won't stand for that. Yes.
Now I get it. So this was prior to him showing up, which now makes more sense. But I don't know. I wanted to show the niceties first. Obviously, they're going to have some chit-chatting. So yeah, they supposedly went into our base. Yeah, our military base. That's for sure off limits. So what's the deep state doing? Trump knows that's exactly what's going on here. So he's going to have a closed-door discussion with this individual. Trump, truth this, what's going on in South Korea seems like a purge or revolution. We can't have that or do business there. I am seeing the new president today at the White House. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So we'll see what came from it. All right, cool. I didn't miss much, it would seem. Trump signing executive orders to restore respect, pride, and sanctity to the American flag. This is getting mixed signals, and I'm going to... Again, I get this is a symbolic thing. I get that this is, like, you shouldn't desecrate the flag. It's a symbol of what makes America great. It's a symbol of the freedoms that we have. I pledged allegiance to it my entire life. I don't have allegiance to the flag as much as the symbol that it represents, which is this great nation. And I very much have pledged my allegiance to this nation. The flag is a symbol of that. There are a lot of things that are symbolic. Now, again, I see other people waving their flags. Palestinian and Mexican flags are probably two of the ones that tend to offend me the most, that can trigger me a wee bit, right? Those are two that I don't like so much. But I do understand that we have freedoms. And I get nervous, and maybe it's just because I'm some sort of weird political thing or party that I'm not aware of, right? I'm not like strongly devout Republican, and I'm not obviously Democrat, so I'm like some weird, and maybe there's some fancy name for me every time I say stupid shit like this. I don't know, but for me, anytime you start taking away a freedom to express my unhappiness with the way things were. Many people were putting their flags up upside down. I mean, to a degree, it's not necessarily a sign of disrespect as it is, in fact, a sign of, being taken over or problem, of course. And again, I get the argument on the side of you shouldn't be able to burn the flag. I'd probably lean in that direction if I had to. Like, I mean, I want to stand on the fence because I don't. It worries me when our freedoms are taken from us. And I feel that this is a freedom that's abused against us and pisses us off and triggers us. But I also feel like, the same thing you could say about, saying something bad about someone's mother. Like, that's almost a guaranteed fight with, 75% of the population, right? You rip on their mom, you say something horrible about their mom, and that's like, you want to fight. Oh, I see. So what do we ban that because that has the ability to offend? So again, I like the discussions around things. I don't want you guys to think that I've picked some side or some. I like the fact that we're debating these things. I think that's important. I think talking about it's important. Like, this should be in the comments. You guys should be talking about, like, the pros and cons. Now, again, I love my country. I get that, but what about the freedom part of it, though, right? Like, isn't there something there, or am I just nuts? Again, I'm not trying to offend anyone. I apologize if I have. It was never the intention. It felt like it was 9/11 all over again. I'm sorry. There's a few of you guys who just get really mad at me. I apologize. These are questions I ask. I'm curious.
Lastly, sir, this is an executive order on flag burning. It charges your attorney general.
Would you listen to this? This is very important. Flag burning. All over the country, they're burning flags. All over the world, they burn the American flag. And as you know, through a very sad court, I guess it was a 5-4 decision, they called it freedom of speech. But there's another reason, which is perhaps much more important. It's called death. Because what happens when you burn a flag is the area goes crazy. If you have hundreds of people, they go crazy. You can do other things. You can burn this piece of paper. But when you burn the American flag, it incites riots at levels that we've never seen before. People go crazy. In a way, both ways. There are some that are going crazy for doing it. There are others that are angry about them doing it. Do you want to discuss that?
Sure. So what the executive order does, sir, it charges your Department of Justice with investigating instances of flag burning, and then where there's evidence of criminal activity, where prosecution wouldn't fall afoul of the First Amendment, and instructs the Department of Justice to prosecute those who are engaged in these instances of flag burning.
And what the penalty is going to be, if you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail, no early exits, no nothing. You get 1 year in jail. If you burn a flag, and what it does is incite to riot. I hope they use that language, by the way. Did they? Incite to riot. And you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail. You don't get 10 years, you don't get 1 month. You get 1 year in jail, and it goes on your record. And you will see flag burning stopping immediately, just like when I signed the Statute and Monument Act. 10 years in jail if you hurt any of our beautiful monuments. Everybody left town. They were gone.
This is one of, I just have to jump in, but this is one of those things too where, like, you know, because of what's happened to us, that we're going to be willing to accept things that we wouldn't have before. I for sure fall into that. His arguments are good, and also the way it's used to incite riots is very, very true. So I'm going to lean even harder now. I'm just saying, I'm going to lean even harder. I still don't like when freedoms are taken away, but this is actually probably a good idea. A year in jail is tough too, man. And frankly, how do you avoid that? Just don't burn the flag. And so from that standpoint, it's another reason that we literally can grab somebody off the streets doing something that's obviously trying to piss people off. And those are the exact people that we want to bust. I don't care if you got a mask on or not. The second you light that flag on fire and a cop tackles you, done deal. So he's on the money. You know, I'm glad I said what I said, but I will say I'm going to probably jump on the side of the fence that says let's make this a crime. 1 year, hopefully it's a misdemeanor, but, well, I don't know. I don't know what a year is in jail. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Never had a problem after that. It's pretty amazing. We stopped it. But this is something that's, I don't know, in a certain way, it's equally as important. Some people would say it's more important. Because the people in this country don't want to see our American flag burned and spit on. And by people that are, in many cases, paid agitators. They're paid by the radical left to do it. You talk to these people, they don't even know, half of them don't even know what they're doing. They say, I don't know, they gave me money to do this. I see the same things that you do. They're bad people. They're trying to destroy our nation. That's not working, because I think our nation now is the most respected nation anywhere in the world, by far. You saw that with the European leaders on Friday. You saw that with NATO, where they agreed to go from 2% no pay to 5% fully paid up, trillions of dollars paid, where they respect your president to a level that they jokingly call me the president of Europe. They call me the president of Europe, which is an honor. I like Europe, and I like those people. They're good people. They're great leaders. And we've never had a case where 7 plus really 28, essentially 38 countries were represented here the other day. 38 European countries were represented. European and other countries were represented, and it was a great meeting. But your country is respected again. I say it all the time. 1 year ago, our country was dead. Everybody said it. We had a dead country. We were not going to survive. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. So it's an honor to be involved, and this group has a lot to do with it, right behind me.
Damn, your country is one hot bitch. Mm-hmm. You know it. You know it. Our country's hot to trot, baby. Donald Trump, truth this out, I paid $0 for Intel. It is worth approximately $11 billion. All goes to the USA. Why are stupid people unhappy with that? I will make deals like that for our country all day long. I will also help those companies that make such lucrative deals with the United States. I love seeing their stock prices go up, making the USA richer and richer, more jobs for America. Who would not want to make deals like that? Now, this freaks me out also. I'm just going to say it, but when you think about central planning, like the CCR, they essentially own companies or control them. Having a country buy a stake within a company gets us in that direction, but it's very legal. it helps our country, especially if they do rebates. But if they don't do rebates and we end up selling the stock at some point or whatever, I don't know how that works. If we just hold on to it indefinitely, or if we're going to have like, Basent or one of these brilliant dudes like constantly buying and selling. I mean, I know somebody if they need help, but all said, it's an interesting road that we're on. But he owns, I think, 10% of Intel or something. Bought a 10% share. We are not a controlling share, but we are, I think that gets us on the board of directors, which when I look at the way stuff is sold from companies that don't have any allegiance to the United States like they should, if they're American companies especially, then especially ones that have government military contracts, to be able to do business with China, those companies should not be able to do. Like when China's like, but I need your Intel chips, it's like, sorry, can't sell them to you. And then when Intel's like, oh, there's 1 billion people over there. Yeah, tough shit, Intel. Oh, well, Intel. Suck it, Intel. And that's the problem, is they want to be able to do it because this is a giant market. But everything that happens that way has China stealing our technology or our general property rights, all that stuff, right? So investment, with the IP they always say, right? I'm drawing a blank. What the hell it stands for. Whatever. Furniture stocks tumbling. Trump's looking into this. I actually got Peter Navarro talking about this. Kind of a trip. But Trump basically said, I'm pleased to announce that we are doing a major tariff investigation on furniture coming into the United States. I didn't actually know this was a big deal, but it is. All said, to finish this statement, within the next 50 days, that investigation will be completed, and furniture coming from other countries into the United States will be tariffed at a rate yet to be determined. This will bring the furniture business back to North Carolina, South Carolina, Michigan, and states all across the union. Thank you for your attention to this matter. These are the different industries that used to exist. These parts of our country used to be known for their furniture. Oh, did you get one of those North Carolina, whatever the hell, such and such companies, armoire? I hope they don't call them that. They probably call it Chester drawers or something. I don't know. I don't even know what an armoire is. It's a French word. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. French people don't make sense to me either. I know a couple of them. They always get pissy. French people.
Stuff like that. And what I saw...
we've got Peter Navarro, sort of already started talking, but I didn't want him to, about the furniture industry. This is a bigger deal than we realize. And I think this is losing some of that American craftsmanship. We were kind of known for woodworking and some of the real true, I want to call it soft skills of manufacturing. Like it's just the stuff that's ornamental. Like, I mean, Italy does that with a Ferrari. They hand build that car. They make 1,400 of them a year or whatever the hell, right? They don't make a butt ton of them. They're hand built. At least the good ones or whatever. I don't know. I watched that Ford Ferrari thing. I don't know what they do nowadays. I hope they manufacture to some degree, but they're supposed to be stricter standards. All said, here's Peter Navarro talking about something way more important than my stupid face.
See, this is a beautiful thing. I don't know if you know this, Maria, but when I was getting my PhD in economics at Harvard, I actually helped work my way through by managing a furniture store. And every year I'd go up to High Point in North Carolina and buy a bunch of stuff for the store and stuff like that. And what I saw after China joined the World Trade Organization was a total devastation of our furniture industry, our cabinetry, kitchen cabinetry, and all of that by the same usual playbook of the Chinese communists, which is to dump into markets and use all the government subsidies. And it really, North Carolina in particular, it ripped the heart. Between textiles and furniture in North Carolina, China ripped the heart out of that state. But there's a lot of other places in America that are fine furniture producers, kitchen cabinetry. Another game that goes on is like you slap a tariff on China, and the next thing you know, they're setting up shop in Vietnam, transshipping to here. President Trump's cracking down on all of that, and he's going to do it for the craftsmen and workers of the American people. And that's a good thing, Maria, and it couldn't happen sooner.
We're doing it for the children. Yeah, no, excellent. It just, again, we're doing it for all the right reasons. Trump is reducing his planned pharma tariff on Europe. I don't know, they're saying here's why. He was going to do a giant-ass tariff on them. I think it's because China does most of our pharmaceuticals We probably don't want to shoot ourselves too hard in the foot right now because we don't make enough stuff here at all. Not even close, not even remotely close. In fact, it's the I want to say it's 70%. I think it might be higher than that, but whatever. I'm going to go conservative just so I don't. If I'm wrong, I'm going to be wrong on the conservative side. It's either 90 or 70. I think 70% of all pharmaceuticals are made in China that we use for like antibiotics and all that stuff. I think maybe it's 90% of all the ingredients that we use. Anyway, it's China owns this. This has been kind of the plan all along. I honestly think most presidents of the United States haven't noticed, didn't care, weren't really paying attention, weren't really looking out for America. We're just like, yeah, I'm America. I'm like this dude. I'm like a figurehead. Like, yeah. And so I think a lot of presidents, that's how they've seen themselves. I think Donald Trump is one of the few that has seen himself for what he actually is. The individual that's in the most powerful position on this planet. And, you know, I mean, that's, you can argue that or not. But so, again, tariffs are being reduced on pharma and blah, blah, blah. So Europe made some pretty sweet deals that are going to help in the big picture. Transshipments, like Navarro was just saying, they're dead. Effective August 7th. That upended global dynamics in a huge way. So they are, or as of August 7th, probably, if I didn't say it that way, they are definitely... Trump's aware of this, we're aware of this, and then we even changed that rule where you can't even send stuff that's like under $100, like, and we're not going to look at it anymore. That's changed, which that was China's other rule that they were using and getting around a lot of stuff, especially for the cheap Chinese goods that they dump on our markets. In some cases, it's stuff we don't even want. By the way, you'll go to places and suddenly there's a sale on something and you're like, I don't know, I guess those are kind of cool. But like, you didn't need it. It's cheap though. I'm going to buy them, I guess. I don't know. How many times have we done that? How many times I mean, I'll admit, I've been maybe on the herbals, if you will, and accidentally ended up on Amazon and they started showing me some sort of like beef jerky or something fudged up, and man, and all of a sudden I got a thing the next day showing up at my door. Different beef jerkies. Delicious though, I love them. Got nuts too this time though. Company called Damn Man. I don't know if they're any good. I've enjoyed it. They have different nuts. And jerky's been actually surprisingly good. I'm going to give a small call out. Don't make any money on that at all, but that was one of my like moments where you shouldn't go on Amazon. Yeah, that happens. So, yeah, transshipments are going the way of the dodo, one would say. What's a dodo, Dan? Generally, we just think of people as stupid as dodos. But certainly they're one of these things that don't react well to bullets. They were a big bird, you know, big bird. Not yellow, though. That would have been cool. That would have been weird. It would have made a lot of things make sense, that's for sure. Yeah, God, none of this is changing. So gold's down a teeny tiny bit. It started up really down. Oh, yeah, it went up. Anyway, everything's so weird right now. The market makes no sense to anybody. I love watching the dude, especially Zero Hedge. They're really, really good about the market. They're just probably one of the best, at least for me. There's maybe better places that are super good at it. I'm not all into the nuts and bolts of it. I can't stand it. It starts to make me want to kill myself at some point. I'm just like, F it. It doesn't make sense for a reason. That's what I think. Honestly, is what I believe. Get out of their system, man. I got a good company, great customer service. They're just incredible. It's a tough process. There's many, many, many steps along the way. There are many people with their hands out along the way in this process. It's definitely not something that's free. I'm going to say that just so you know up front. But the problem really is getting it done, how long it takes to get done, and whether or not you get done before things get crazy. And I don't know when the time frames are, but we're definitely running into interesting walls. Someone was on Nino Rodriguez's channel. I loved it. I watched it and enjoyed it. We're already past the first day where it wasn't correct, but we got to see if we make it past 9/11, and then the math starts to break down. But something crazy, Black Swan, could be coming within that time. Now, again, I don't generally like it when people make prognostic, when people tell the future. I don't like it per se because it doesn't seem to work out ever. Not once, not yet. I mean, there's some people that get sort of fuzzy prophecies close. I don't want to get into attacking anybody, please. But for the most part, people that go hard on a date, oh, this is going to happen on this date. Here's the thing. We see a lot of stuff happening. We know the deep state needs to be defeated. We understand the Federal Reserve's part of that. They tax us. IRS came from them. Like, there's a whole structure there. How this plays out, I don't know, guys. That's one of the reasons that's awesome. You can take the money and run, as they would say. And then, whoo, right? You can take the money and run. The buying power is what matters when it comes to precious metals. You're literally locking in whatever you can buy with the current cash you have in your 401k or IRA. Because tomorrow, inflation's going to snip that away a little bit. Your buying power gets reduced every single day. This is why I think timing matters, and why sometimes you get the best customer service out there. You can ask all the best questions you want. They do an amazing job. They have multiple suppliers. They offer up to 10% free silver back to you. There's a discount. What's that? What's that worth, right? You're going to get some money back. It's precious metals, and the actual silver I think they send to you, by the way, which is really, really cool. But the stuff is put in a trust. The physical metals, with your name on the tube, whatever, on the shelf in a trust, and that's yours. It's powerful. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. I think this system sucks. And there's so much wobble in it right now, guys. For those paying any attention, they're making stuff up on a daily basis to explain what's happening. It is an issue of, and crypto's another fun thing. You're going to watch what happens when the stock market starts to go way down. Cryptos will fall with it, not because cryptos are less valuable, though they are worthless, actually, but because people are going to dump all their cash from cryptos. They're going to buy out of crypto and take that cash or francs or whatever, euros, whatever the hell. They're going to take that money and buy stock that is cratered. That's how you get rich. So there's a bunch of money in crypto right now that is waiting for the moment to sell and buy stock. And they don't want to put it in a bank because that's stupid. They don't want the government to know about it, so they don't put it in a bank. They put it in crypto. It's secret. Cryptos are not what a lot of people have been led to believe. They just aren't. I mean, they work out for the way they work out. And when you take gobs of money out of crypto, the price falls immediately, like a lot, depending on how much money they took out. It's one of the reasons why I think Trump's talking about getting Bitcoin from criminals and stuff and hanging on to it in the treasury. What that does is it helps with stability. However many millions or hundreds of thousands or whatever coins we got or Bitcoins we got is stability by us just hanging on to it and not buying and selling. So it gives it some stability. But this is the problem, guys. None of this stuff's easy. Precious metals have always held. That's the long story to this. You take 1 ounce of gold right here, boom. Back in 1900, this would have bought me a fully tailored suit. Really nice, top of the line. Tailored suit, handmade. Today, this will buy me a fully handmade tailored suit. Right here. That is what it does. And your buying power dies daily. You can only get as much silver as you can. The prices are going up. They're not going down. So every day, your dollar is losing value. Your stock may lose value because of craziness, but it might just be barely going up. Okay. Your dollar's losing value every single day. And the prices of gold and silver, as the dollar loses value, are going up. And it's only going to be more expensive to buy. And when there is some sort of calamity that we can blame on the Federal Reserve, likely, then you're looking at a chance to not worry about it because you've got gold and silver. Your wealth is protected. Doesn't matter what happens to the market. You'll be fine. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. You got a 401k, IRA? Get the frick out of their system. Seriously. If you got a bunch of cash lying around and you want to get up some more silver and gold, this is a great place to go. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. Get out of that system before they get out of you. FDA is going to begin real-time reporting of adverse event data. The FDA is going to start sharing their FAERS system. And this is likely maybe more accurate than the VAERS system, which was the CDC, and they were doing all sorts of crazy stuff to the data behind the scenes, so we've been alleged. FDA adverse event reporting system might be a little cleaner, but they never ever intended on releasing any of this stuff because Many of the people on the board of the FDA were being paid by pharma to, to help them out with stuff, because that's what you do when you're trying to push stuff along. Ukraine seeks at least $1 billion a month for their war for U.S. weapons purchases. I'm sorry, not necessarily for their government, which is very interesting. It's a perfect time to catch her at a pause, by the way. You're hired. That's so mean. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Monday that Kyiv aims to secure at least $1 billion monthly from allies, though we know NATO states are now sending Kyiv another $50 billion a month. Or sorry, $50 billion in military aid. So if they need $1 billion a month in weapons, that's $12 billion a year. All right, so that gives me $38 billion. Is that enough to fund the corrupt government they've got there? I don't know, but NATO members are sending more money. Russia isn't motivated by territory, Lavrov says. He's like, that's not what we're here for, man. We don't have any interest in territories. We have the biggest territory on Earth. He's right. They do. They literally have the largest country in the world. He says what we are concerned about is the people who live on those lands whose ancestors lived there for centuries. He says Lavrov said Moscow's goal is to remove any security threats to Russia coming from Ukrainian territory, to protect the rights of the ethnic Russian and Russian-speaking people who believe they belong to the Russian culture and Russian history. The only way to protect them against this Nazi regime is to give them the right to express their will. Putin puppet. I don't know. It makes more sense when you know a little more of the history. We've talked a lot about it. There's just the attacking people within your own country because they don't like you because they speak Russian and they're Russian and they really get along with their neighbor. It's kind of like what happened here in our country because people that were conservative or at least center-leaning were chastised, destroyed. They tried to ruin us. They took down our financial means in many ways. Like, again, some of us got hit in different ways. Some of us got hit where they got debanked and stuff, which is pretty gnarly. So, yeah, it was pretty effed up, one would say. Zelensky can't sign a peace deal, Moscow's saying. They're like, look, he's not the president anymore. It's past his term. He's not technically in charge based off their constitution. It goes to someone else. He doesn't go so far as to spell that all out, but he's like, no. I don't give a shit about Zelensky and what he thinks. So Russia's, again, they're sticking to their guns and what they're there to do and why they're there to do it. And good on them. I don't know how much of this I'm going to play. I'm going to speed it up a hair. Anyways, okay, 1.15. Let's go 1.25. But J.D. Vance gets asked about Russia, and supposedly there's a bit of a deal going on. And again, so I don't know how much of this I'm going to play. This is where that question is. So we're at least 3 minutes out of the 20 minutes I've shared, or they shared, are being ignored. Hopefully, as soon as he starts talking about some other thing, I'll pull it aside, unless it's really cool. I don't know. I haven't listened to this. I didn't have time.
Foreign minister.
I heard.
Yes, he says, as of right now, there's no meeting planned between President Putin and President Zelensky. And he added there needs to be an agenda first, saying, quote, this agenda is not ready at all. Are the Russians stringing President Trump along?
No, not at all, Kristen. I think the Russians have made significant concessions to President Trump for the first time in 3.5 years of this conflict. They've actually been willing to be flexible on some of their core demands. They've talked about what would be necessary to end the war. Of course, they haven't been completely there yet where the war would be over, but we're engaging in this diplomatic process in good faith. We are trying to negotiate as much as we can with both the Russians and the Ukrainians to find a middle ground to stop the killing. I think what the president has tried to do here is try to engage in very aggressive, very energetic diplomacy because this war is not in anyone's interest. It's not in Europe or the United States' interest. We don't think it's in Russia or Ukraine's interest to keep going. So we're going to keep on pushing for a diplomatic solution. And one final point about this, Kristen, if you look historically, whenever you have a complicated war with a lot of death and destruction, it kind of goes in fits and starts. There are hills and valleys to the negotiation. We sometimes feel like we've made great progress with the Russians. And sometimes, as the president has said, he's been very frustrated with the Russians. And we're going to keep on doing what we have to do to bring this thing to a close. I don't think it's going to happen overnight. I think that we're going to continue to make progress. But ultimately, whether the killing stops, that determination is going to belong to whether the Russians and the Ukrainians can actually find some middle ground here.
Well, you talk about concessions, and yet the Russians rejected the ceasefire proposal that President Trump put forward. There's no meeting plan between President Putin and President Zelensky. And this week, Russia targeted an American factory in Ukraine. There were 600 people inside at the time. No one was killed. What makes you think President Putin is serious about peace?
Well, I didn't say they conceded on everything, but what they have conceded is the recognition that Ukraine will have territorial integrity after the war. They've recognized that they're not going to be able to install a puppet regime in Kiev. That was, of course, a major demand at the beginning. And importantly, they've acknowledged that there is going to be some security guarantee to the territorial integrity of Ukraine. Again, have they made every concession? Of course they haven't. Should they have started the war? Of course they haven't. But we're making progress, Kristen. And what I admire about the president in this moment is he's not asking 3.5 years ago. He's not trying to focus on every nitpicky detail of how this thing started 3.5 years ago. He's trying to focus on the nitpicky details of now, of what do the parties disagree on, what do they agree on, and how do you build a foundation from one side of that ledger to the other so that you can stop the killing.
But was President Trump, were you enraged when you learned that Russia targeted an American company based in Ukraine?
I don't
was
like
that not
it,
a slap
Kristen.
in the face
I
to the
don't.
peace
I don't
process?
like it, Kristen. But this is a war, and this is why we want to stop the killing. The Russians have done a lot of things that we don't like. A lot of civilians have died. We've condemned that stuff from the get-go. And frankly, President Trump has done more to apply pressure and to apply economic leverage to the Russians, certainly than Joe Biden did for 3.5 years when he did nothing but talk, but do nothing to bring the killing to a stop. So you asked me what I'm enraged by. What I'm enraged by is the continuation of the war. What I'm enraged by is a presidency and Joe Biden who for 3 years did nothing to end the killing. What I'm actually excited about right now is that we have a president who's engaging in energetic diplomacy to try to stop the killing. That's as it should be. I think the American people should be proud of it. And whatever the outcome of this, whether the war ends in 3 months or 6 months or hopefully not beyond, but maybe we should be proud that we have a president who's trying to stop the killing. He's done it, by the way, 6 wars that the president has brought to a close all over the world. This would be the 7th. It's the most complicated, but we're trying despite that.
I had the opportunity to interview Secretary Rubio last week, and he said he actually doesn't think that new sanctions would force Putin into a ceasefire. Are sanctions now off the table, Mr. Vice President?
No, sanctions aren't off the table, but we're going to make these determinations on a case-by-case basis. What do we think is actually going to exert the right kind of leverage to bring the Russians to the table? Now, you said sanctions were not going to lead to a ceasefire. I think that's obviously correct. If you look at the way the Russians have conducted themselves, they don't want a ceasefire. They don't want a ceasefire for complicated reasons. We, of course, have pushed for a ceasefire, but again, we don't control what Russia does. If we did, the war would have been over 7 months ago. What we do believe, though, is that we continue to have a lot of cards. The President of the United States has a lot of cards left to play to apply pressure to try to bring this conflict to a close, and that's what we're going to do.
You take me to my next question. Where exactly is the pressure on Russia to do anything if you're not right now imposing new sanctions? How do you get them to a place of getting to the table with Zelensky and stopping to drop bombs?
But, Kristen, I think that question betrays a fundamental misunderstanding of where we are. The president has applied aggressive economic leverage, for example, the secondary tariffs on India, to try to make it harder for the Russians to get rich from their oil economy. He's tried to make it clear that Russia can be reinvited into the world economy if they stop the killing, but they're going to continue to be isolated if they don't stop the killing. The president has applied more economic pressure to the Russians to stop this war than Biden did in 3 years. So the idea that we're not doing anything, we're already doing things right now, and this is how negotiation works. You do something, you talk to the parties, you try to see if there's a meeting of minds. Again, we believe we've already seen some significant concessions from both sides just in the last few weeks. We're going to eventually be successful, or we'll hit a brick wall. And if we hit a brick wall, then we're going to continue this process of negotiation, of applying leverage. This is the energetic diplomacy that's going to bring this war to a close.
I hear what you're saying about India. China is actually the largest buyer of Russian oil.
They're close. They're about equal.
Why no sanctions on China?
Well, obviously, we have a 54% tariff on the PRC right now.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and just cut it there. I mean, there's probably some good stuff coming, but my God, matey. So, yeah, China's a huge problem as well. But, yeah, the money happening, the deals being made. Trump's just trying to, I didn't want this to start. I'm just trying to stop it. And trying to get people to understand that I think is very important. Ukrainian drone shot down near nuclear power plant. Another attempted attack on the Kursk nuclear power plant. Again, that's very dangerous for the world. NORAD intercepts third Russian plane in a week. First off, if this is the actual plane that they're showing here, it looks like kind of their version of our Sub Hunter, our P-8 Orion, I think we call it. It's got some crazy gear on the bottom. I don't know what the hell that giant thing is. Huge torpedo, whatever. But anyway, they were flying around. We sent a bunch of shit out there. No big deal. It happens. It's been happening. It'll keep happening. U.S. approved sale of cruise missiles to Ukraine. We approved a sale of cruise missiles that aren't going to make it out there until later in the year. I think this is a sign to Putin, look, here's the deal. If you're going to keep the war going, they're going to be allowed to attack within your inner part of your country. They're going to be allowed to hurt you. We're going to let them. Right now, they would have to be used, have to have permission from us to use them. But I think this is a sign from Trump, like, look, here's the deal. Like, either you guys frickin' figure out a way to find peace, or we're actually going to let Ukraine, we're going to take some of the things holding them back off and let them do their thing, We had Israel targets Yemen's capital with massive strikes near presidential complex. So again, it's supposed to be Houthi controlled. I don't trust much of any. I don't know. I mean, I hope. There's the part of me, because Trump is okay with this. So there's the part of me that's like, all right, they're taking out deep state stuff. All right, they're cleaning it up. They're really bad at the press part of it, the optics of it. Because there's a hospital they hit. I don't know if this was the story or not, but they were like, sorry, whoops, we didn't. I mean, we feel bad for any people we didn't mean to kill that got killed. Sorry, whoops. But it was a hospital. I get it. They're hiding stuff inside of it. So yeah, I mean, you guys probably hate me for some of the stuff I'd probably be willing to tolerate. Be like, all right, go ahead, drop a bomb on the damn thing. Shit. But yeah, but at least they're trying to be strategic. Thank goodness. Israel offers to withdraw from Lebanon after momentous decision to disarm Hezbollah. We'll see if they do. Supposedly the Syria, I think the Lebanese government's like, we're going to make sure that they're disarmed. I doubt we should trust that, and I doubt we will. But if that's true, then that means we've literally handed Lebanon back over to the Lebanese people. And if that's true, which it could be, that's fantastic. That means we would have denazified Lebanon, just to use a term that's fun. 5 journalists among 20 dead in Israeli airstrike on Gaza hospital. This is the one that kind of got them in a little bit of poo. 5 journalists, that's like losing a lawyer. When they say, what's 100 lawyers at the bottom of the ocean? It's like a good start, And I'm kidding, because lawyers, you hate them until you need them. I'll tell you that. That's for sure. So thank goodness for them, I guess. They know how to navigate those stupid waters. 5 journalists, 20 people killed. Israeli double tap. They hit the airstrike on Navarro Hospital, the largest medical facility in southern Gaza Strip. Pretty big deal. I don't know what they hit. If there's like parking garage, it's kind of what it looks like. Oh no, that's probably the actual hospital, huh? And it looks pretty jacked up on the upper floors, which is where they typically put the executive levels, I would imagine, too. Oh, who knows? There's my girl, Alice Tang. Hello, sweetheart. China's Evergrande delisted after spectacular fall. We're going to go ahead and play this. Can I play it faster? Oh, I can. Yeah, we'll do that. She is adorable. I'm sorry. This one's a cutie. Tiffany, sorry. Got competition now.
China's foreign property giant Evergrande was delisted from the Hong Kong Stock Exchange today. The delisting closes a chapter in China's property crisis that started in 2021. Here's a closer look.
China Evergrande's epic boom-to-bust journey is a cautionary tale for the country's property sector. Evergrande was once China's leading developer. Its original listing in Hong Kong in 2009 was the biggest by a Chinese private developer. But the firm also had the largest pile of debt in the property sector globally.
Evergrande is one of this landmark example of the collapse of the China's real estate sector a few years ago. So what we see right now in delisting, it is really largely symbolic because the market has pretty much anticipated the pressure in the sector already. So having said that, it still marks the end of the golden age of China real estate sector.
The developer started with a strong public market debut and a stock value of $9 billion. It grew more than fivefold to $51 billion, only to plummet in recent years. And Evergrande is now worth a mere $282 million. Trading in shares in the world's most indebted developer has been suspended since January last year. It was hit with a liquidation order after it defaulted on debt and failed to finalise a restructuring plan. A filing showed Evergrande is getting delisted from the Hong Kong Stock Exchange due to its failure to resume trading within 18 months. The delisting will close a chapter in China's property crisis that started in 2021. Evergrande is also unlikely to be the last to meet the same fate. China South City became the first state-backed property developer to get a liquidation order from the Hong Kong High Court earlier this month.
It is possible for more companies to follow the same path of Evergrande, and especially for those that cannot meet the listing requirement in terms of the disclosure and also the auditing releases. And if they get their stock suspended for more than 18 months, then they will be forced to delist from Hong Kong Exchange.
Chinese authorities have tried to revive the property sector over the years, which once made up for a quarter of its GDP. While buyers wait for their unfinished homes to be handed over and creditors hope to recoup their money. Evergrande declined to comment.
And first cheers on their ability to design cities. I mean, they've got the super fast trains and all that, and they literally design their cities that way. People don't have a lot of options, but I do. Like I said, I've got a couple close friends that China. One of them's going back actually, and it's just like one of her sisters owns like 3 places, but the property values are so screwed right now, so she doesn't want to live in any of them because then they're considered used. If you don't live in them, they're still new. So you get a different price. Again, just a different world all the way across the board. But China, this is a huge part of their financial problem. They just ate a bunch of that, I think, with that company getting delisted completely. Now it's like out of sight, and they can just start to deal with that because the state. But that's very expensive. And this is definitely a problem for China. And the trade war that Trump is doing at the same time is hitting them financially from another angle. And even having Europe kind of help us do that at the same time. We're not screwing around. I don't have time for a commercial because we're long. But danradiostyle.petclub247.com. Coriolis versicolor. It is it helps the immune system of yourself, your dogs, your cats, and horses. Sheep too, I think. But Coriolis versicolor, it's just you can't eat too much of it. You'll never get, you just won't. You can't OD on it. And they've seen studies that show massive amounts of improvement in immune response in the same species, same being, same animal, right? So you get a bunch of this stuff in you, and any sicknesses that you had, a lot of them anyways, start to work themselves out. It's pretty powerful. It's a very easy way. They've got dog foods, they've got cat foods, they've got toys. You got to think about some of the nasty things, like if you get Chinese-made toys, which a lot of the dog toys are, they're always cute. Oh my God, he's going to love that squeaky toy. It's got lead in it. You know that? When they eat it and chew it up, they're getting lead in their bodies. That stuff is not good. So these are things that help keep them clean, help clean them if they're already dirtied, but there's all sorts of ways to get more of that Coriolis versicolor. There's treats, mush puppies, or the Mojos, which is a liver treat, so dogs and cats tend to like that one. They've got canned foods, dried foods, they've got toys, they've got antler sticks for dogs, like a stick. You got to do it all. Go to danradiostyle.petclub247.com. I mean, if you want to help your pet, it gives them a better leg up because there's all sorts of crazy stuff going on in our environment, in the foods we eat. Some of us aren't so healthy, maybe not the best examples. Well, at least be good to your animal so they stay around longer because they don't live long enough. That's the one thing that really bothered me. When I had to it still brings a tear to my eye if I think about it. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but yeah, they don't live long enough. They don't live long enough. Not even close. It's painful. danradiostyle.petclub247.com. It's going to help make sure they live longer than they would have, possibly, unless something horribly traumatic happens. Take the most healthy animal in the world, and a friggin' coyote gets them. It just makes them more delicious, I guess. I don't know. Dan Radios, I know morbid, so something's wrong with me. It's not going to help, though. danradiostyle.petclub247.com. How do you screw up a commercial, Dan? Well, let me show you. Let me give you 12 easy steps. danradiostyle.petclub247.com. .com. All right, we try. EU's favorite dictator is about to face her ultimate test. This chick's going to go up in an election now. She's getting very pro-communist kind of stuff. She is Moldova, I think is how we properly pronounce that. And so, yeah, she might be losing her spot. She is the deep state queen, and we'll see what happens. 140 arrested on first day of London's multicultural Notting Hill Carnival. Yes. This is very common. This goes back to like 66 or something like that. A huge number of people, I think after World War II, mass immigrated into England. And this is like a special festival for them. And it's been going on for a very, very long time. But now it seems to be fraught with violence and anger and drugs and shootings. No shootings, just, possessions of offensive weapons. 25 for possessions of cannabis. So sad. 6 for possession of Class A drugs, 2 for possession of other drugs, 19 for possession with intent to supply drugs, 2 for robbery, 4 for public order offenses, and 4 for sexual offenses. There you go. And that was just Sunday. Germany charges U.S. citizen with offering military intelligence to China. It was on a U.S. base. They caught this guy. I don't know. We don't know how much the man has been identified as Martin D. If you know a Martin D, call everybody. Martin D is the dude. So that's super helpful, right? And his social security number is cricket. Yeah, whatever. France has ruined its reputation as a free country, says Durov. He's the founder, or one of the founders, him and his brother, of Telegram. This is the dude that's super buff. Every time you see those pictures of him, you're like, damn. And, I mean, you know, dude's got it's hard to keep it like that. Man, I like drinking too much. I don't want to, as I look over at my wine. Anyway, whatever. Russia's going to print new Syrian banknotes. Did you know that? That's weird. They're printing money for other countries. Probably BRIC nations, possibly. We're going to see what's up with this. Again, they've tried to force them into this weird corner, and here's Russia becoming the new leaders of the world, or at least the new leaders of a part of world. It's a block, maybe. I guess. Who knows how this will all play out. But they are playing their cards well. I'll give them points on that. There was some crazy fire breaking out near Amsterdam's Schiphol Airport. Never been there. Sure I said it wrong. But yeah, there's moving smoke. Oh my God, that smoke, it's moving. Yeah, so it broke out in a warehouse. I don't know what was in there, but that's always concerning when stuff that's like that happens. Snoop Dogg says some foul words here, but he's talking about what's going on with the transgender-y stuff being kind of shoved into kids' movies. I think he's talking about taking one of his grandkids, I think, to the movies, and his grandkid starts asking him all sorts of very uncomfortable questions because the movie was presenting some uncomfortable realities that maybe a 5-year-old should be thinking about. That's all I'm saying.
I'm starting to see, what was the movie with Buzz Light?
Toy Story?
Not that one, but
the new Buzz. The Lightyear. I think it's called Lightyear.
Yeah, with Keke Palmer's in that movie.
Okay.
She plays like the daughter. So we watching it, and the lady, which is Kiki's mama, they move on into the space years. They move down the line. They're like, man, she had a baby with a woman. Well, my grandson in the middle of the movie like, Papa Snoop, how she have a baby with a woman? She a woman. Oh, shit. I didn't come in for this shit. I just came to watch the goddamn movie. Hey, man, watch the movie. They just said she had a baby. They both women's. How did she have a baby? Shh. The movie ain't over with. So it's like, it's fuck me. I'm scared to go to the movies now. Like, y'all throwing me in the middle of shit that I don't have an answer for. That's on the seat.
Which is, kind of funny. The GD probably pissed some of you off. Apologize for that, SpaceX delaying its Starship mega rocket launch. Mega rocket. It's launching. It was supposed to launch yesterday. It didn't. They're having some sort of ground system error, whatever the fuck that means. This is their 10th one. They're going to do some specific testing. They're not even expecting to retrieve this thing. If it manages to actually get all the way through the missions and land on the water, which you understand doesn't work well. And I don't mean the boat on the water. No. The landing on the water. Yeah, they're going to leave it too. The thing's going to sink to the bottom of the ocean. They're going to be like, later, bitches. They want to learn what they're going to learn. So if this thing blows up, that'll suck. If it blows up late in flight, that'll be awesome. If it blows up never, that'll be incredible. But they're doing all sorts of crazy tests. Anyways, whatever the case is, I kind of think this stuff's super fun. They're going to be testing a bunch of crap. If you really care, pause it, read the screen. Outside of that, there's so many people that don't give a crap. I love it. I'm long. I'm sorry. I thought this would be a shorter show, and here I am. I'm ridiculous. I love you guys, though. We're going to keep fighting the fight. And we're doing oldies this week, by the way. Oldies. Like what I would call doo-wop 50s is kind of the genre. Some of you guys probably had grandparents, parents, yourselves that listened to this way back in the day. I think it will be a fun show to go way back. Way back machine. I had to talk to Jesus to figure out what kind of songs to play. And I've done it. It should be fun this week. That'll be Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. All that said, I guess I can say hi to you. Hey, hello. All that said, I'll tell you this. Where we go one, we go all. Thank God I showed up on camera finally, huh? It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.